Hey, welcome, True Believers, to another retro comic review of me and Big Jeff. Today, we're reviewing G.I. Joe issue 2. I have the newsstand copy. It's not in that great condition, but I have second print, also direct, but it's signed by Larry Hama. I'm not going to get it. Well, you know what? Real quick, just so they'll be like, yeah, sure, Matt. Right? All right. All right. This is the first appearance of Kwinn, and you'll find out later. We won't make any suspense, but Kwinn doesn't hang around too long. So we already reviewed issue 1, which was a setup. So that's just like the setup for the whole toy line. And let me sit this. I gotta get it fixed. All right. So in this one, it's the first up. They're like, we're going to tell you who's in the mission. They select 4 Joes for this particular mission because they're more recon. So we have Stalker, Lonzo Wilkinson, E5 from Detroit, Michigan, military specialty, secondary military specialty medic. His primary military specialty is infantry. He was a Vietnam veteran in this storyline. And his partner in crime, Snake Eyes, his name's classified. Birthplace classified. He's just a badass commando ninja. The communication expert, Breaker. File name says his name is Alvin Kibbe from Gatlinburg, Tennessee, right down the road from me. He is an E4. He's a communication expert, and he likes to hang out. As you'll find out in this story, he likes to hang out at MIT just for fun. And we got in counterintelligence, codename Scarlett, Shauna O'Hara from Atlanta, Georgia. That's really on the nose, ain't it? Grade E5, primary military specialty intelligence. So that's kind of why she's on the group. For this.
Yeah, it's Shauna O'Hara, but her code name is Scarlett.
O'Hara. So we got Scarlett O'Hara from Atlanta, Georgia. And actually, Kwinn was only in the comic for a short period, like 2 issues. But he was a very memorable character, right? For the time being. And actually, Super 7 made an action figure of Kwinn. So there you go.
I think he's a member of the Inuit tribe.
Yeah. Anyway, I got the online copy of it here, so we can go over it. This will be very brief. I'm sure. Share this. Oh, I've already got it. Why am I trying to do it again? All right. Everybody see it all right? I think I can see it. So this is
this cover, though. This cover is it's a good cover.
It got the blues and the green and everything, and the yellow and orange flames. You got this. I like this reflection off the ice there.
Yeah.
It's another Herb Trimpe cover, and Abel. And it says an American. It also reminds me of the Thing a little bit because it's like an American research station annihilated, a Russian base destroyed. The GI Joe team.
The just all around kind of like I like snow covers.
Yeah, I do too. I guess I could have used this as a Christmassy cover. So we got Breaker, Snake Eyes, Scarlett in the back, and we got Stalker. We go on here and it says, quartered in a top secret armored underground bunkers deep beneath the Army Chaplain's Assistant School at Fort Wadsworth, New Jersey, is the most fearsome rapid deployment team of all, America's elite counterterrorism strike force. G.I. Joe, a real American hero. Stan Lee presents Panic at the North Pole. The North Pole, ice cap. And so you see here, they're talking about, well, he says, like, this guy's saying General Flagg, he's communicating to General Flagg, I think, in the Pentagon. He's like, one of our research stations has been wiped out in a commando-style raid, all personnel dead. We lost contact with this station a week ago, and severe weather conditions, kept them from getting down there. We're not going to read the whole thing. But so you see the rescue team coming in, and he's doing it. This is the guys talking to General Flagg. And as we see down here, it says G.I. Joe Real American Hero, Volume 1, Issue 2, August 1982 is when it came out. This copy we're looking at digitally is the second printing. The scripter, of course, Larry Hama. Penciler, Don Perlin. Inker, Jack Abel. Letters, Jim Novak. The colorist, Bob Sharen, and editor was Tom DeFalco on this book. And like we said, Herb Trimpe did the cover, and Jack Abel did the inking for the cover. If you don't remember, Herb Trimpe did a lot of Incredible Hulk stuff as well, and Wolverine. Okay, we'll go on to the next one. And I guess we're here saying it doesn't make sense. There's like a near cell that's 100 miles away across the ice. It's a Russian research station. So they kind of suspect, right, Jeff,
Ruskies,
that the Russians are involved in this somehow. And they said, I could load up my Air Mobile boys and buzz Ivan's base for a look-see. Ivan, that's referring to the Soviets because we're in the middle of the Cold War at this time. And actually, it was a pretty hot Cold War at this time too, right, Jeff?
Yeah.
1982 is when it was around that time, a couple of years before that the Soviets invaded Afghanistan. And we whooped their ass at Lake Placid in hockey, by the way. Thank you very much. And they had decided they were not going to go to the upcoming summer games that were going to be in Los Angeles.
The Soviets were super pissed off because Reagan was talking about Star Wars.
Yeah. And also, didn't we didn't go to the 80 Olympic summer games, right? The U.S. didn't go to the 80 summer games. So we weren't going to that. We'd forgot.
I was 5 years old.
All right. I mean, I don't know. So he says, negative, Colonel. There's no word from Moscow. Let's not risk making a sticky situation any stickier. Seal the station and camp and security lid and your personnel until further notice. And he tells him, will do, sir, over and out. So he goes, the flag talks to General Austin here. He said, could it be that the Moscow brass doesn't even know what's happening? Men have been known to go bonkers up there, isolated, yeah. So they could have had a Jack Nicholson Shining situation. He said, if Moscow really is in the dark, then maybe we can salvage something from the situation. And they're thinking maybe they stumbled on a secret that the Russian station personnel were afraid to inform their superiors of the breach in security. And so, of course, what do? He says, we better cover ourselves and check it out. Send in the G.I. Joe team. And Flagg tells General Austin, I have already taken the liberty of pulling their dossiers on the 4 team members best qualified for this mission. And General Austin says, well, I suspected as much. It's a shame because they're all on leave at the time. So we find out they're all on R&R. And we go somewhere in Wisconsin. Here's Stalker. He says, what a perfect setup. He's hunting deer, right? He's ready to shoot this big buck. Looks like it's got at least 12 or 14 points on it.
Yep.
And then you hear whoop, 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 and then here comes the helicopter. He said, damn it, scared him off. And then you hear it, and they don't just pull the helicopter. They don't even land the helicopter, Jeff. They just throw a ladder down and say,
yeah, pop off.
Wilkinson, codename Stalker, General Flagg has canceled your leave. And then like Stalker says, yeah, I'm about to cancel your face. I've been tracking that stag for 6 hours. So anyway, he tells them they blown the perfect shot. And then you find out he wasn't going to kill it. He was just going to take a picture of it.
Yeah.
So then we go to Boston, Massachusetts at the MIT lab. And these 2 girls over here, one of them kind of looks like Mary Jane a little bit, says, who's the cute guy running the crystalline fracture point program? And she's like, they call him Breaker. He works for the government, comes up here every other month or so and plays with computers. And they're like, I think I'm going to get the nerve to ask him out, right? Let's ask him to go have coffee, right? Well, as soon as they turn around, it says, leave canceled, report to the pit, Flagg. And they're like, wait, he's gone. So he's gone. Then we flash to San Diego, California, sunny San Diego, California, at a martial arts tournament. And we got Scarlett, and she's in a match, and it says half point for O'Hara, 30 seconds remaining in the match. And then this officer comes up and says, are you E5 Shauna O'Hara, codename Scarlett? She's like, well, who's asking? And he's like, well, you're under orders from General Flagg to come back. And so why didn't you say so? Couldn't you wait until I made the point? And then she says, well, I don't think my opponent is ready to concede. Please excuse me.
I see a kick in the future.
And
yeah, there it is.
She kicks her right in the face. And this guy said, Scarlett is not to be messed with. So then we cut to Columbia University in the basement. And this young student's there saying, you can't barge in here. And the officer says, the hell I can't. And he's like, okay, so we get to this. This is a sleep deprivation chamber So this is how we start building the mystery of the character Snake Eyes, right? So he's like, your leave's canceled. You can pull your wet little bod out of that there, and okay, that guy's a spicy officer there, and he's kind of saucy. He says, my God, and we get to realize this is the first time we realize, right, Jeff, that his face is horribly disfigured, because this guy's like, oh my God, that face.
Yeah.
And
I like how this is supposed to be some military officer that has that kind of reaction to a battle-scarred face.
I know. And the student says, we've grown accustomed to his appearance. He spends up to 8 hours at a time in that total sensory deprivation unit. So he's in there meditating. He says, well, you better get dressed and head for the plane, So they're ready to go on their mission. So then we get over the Arctic, and they're getting ready to be deployed. And they're explaining that about the research station. And he says, I must stress the point that this is a reconnaissance mission. Your primary objective is observation only. You're not to initiate any contact with the enemy. If fired upon, you are to withdraw in an orderly manner and contact command for further instructions. Also, this is kind of what you call, back in the day, they would call this a sneak and peek, right? You send in a 4-person recon team, and they're supposed to just go in there and not make contact with the enemy. You had a lot of this in Vietnam War, right, Jeff?
Yeah, any war.
Yeah, any war, like the 4th Recon Marines. Yeah. They do a lot of this. The Rangers do a lot of recon like this, and they'll bring in a 4-man team. And I've heard stories of these guys in Vietnam. They'd be in the jungle for like a week or two, and they would barely say a word because they had to keep silent because they were so close contact with the enemy.
Yeah.
It's just relay and visual intelligence as you gather it. We will forward any new data if you need it. And your secondary mission is a retrieval of the missing records from our research station. I don't care how you get them, as long as you don't compromise the primary mission. In other words, don't get caught. If you do,
the polar bear ate them.
Yeah, there's a polar bear like item, and we get to the next page, and they're parachuting out. And the guy says, "Good luck," he says. "We're going to need it." And then what's he say? One of them says, I guess it's Stalker. He goes, "Listen up, Breaker. This is going to be a piece of cake." Or it might have been Scarlett.
The only problem I got with these panels is that if they were parachuting into an Arctic battle theater, they wouldn't be wearing a bunch of green shit.
That's true. They would be in white. And then what's odd, though, is you see the guy up front, he does have white on. But it's like, I think maybe the artist was trying to be like, make sure you know who they are. Like, you can see the way you still see.
And it'd probably be hard for the artist to, have a snowy background with snowy white characters. And, I don't know.
Yeah. And of course, the guy in black with a black parka is Snake Eyes. You can see Scarlett's figure. It's kind of hard for her to hide that. And all the communication gears Breaker. This is Stalker. They said we might be in for a long wait. Those Russian Kwanzaa huts are buttoned up, but they don't see any activity outside. And this guy said, well, they're probably in there just like, munching on caviar, sipping tea by the hot stove.
Drinking some
vodka. So 6 hours go by, and you see heads up, there's somebody coming. And we get our first appearance of Kwinn. It's an Eskimo of a dog sled. They said, no, Eskimo gets lost 1,000 miles worth. So, and he's got all these like skulls, and he says, besides, what do you hunt with a 30 cal belt-fed machine gun? So this guy's like hardcore. He's packing a 30 cal Browning automatic on his back. They thought he was like a hunter lost. He just strolled up like he owns the place, like they say. He goes in, he comes right back out and leaves. And they're like, well, where'd he come from? Where's he going? And then, Scarlett's like, that's a $50,000 question. I want to know is, why did you leave the door open? And they're like, you're right. Brilliant move, Sherlock. You figured it out, huh? So unless nobody's home, then we can't initiate contact. So they go in standard 2x2 formation. Well, I guess that's kind of what they're supposed to be doing, but they just look like they're running right towards it. But so they go in, and they're like, "Oh, good Lord!" And Stalker's like, well, "Ain't that a kick in the head?" Stalker must be a Frank Sinatra fan or a Dean Martin fan. They come in here and they find out that the scientists are dead. They're all frozen stiff. By the looks of it, they've been this way for at least a week. Their heating unit must have went out, they say. Hey, this setup here is for long-range, ultra-low-frequency beam transmission. That's a biological frequency that can affect human brain waves. So we've come upon our first clue, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
The Russians have come on something that has like a, some kind of brainwave thing. And this will come back into issue 3. We'll talk about that later. We won't get into that too much, but that's going to be the red herring. And this part of this is missing. The frequency modulator is missing. So Kwinn has taken it. He goes, look, the safe's been rifled through. I'll bet those records are with the Eskimo. And then you hear brap and Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes, what's going on? They realize that Kwinn has booby trapped the Kwanzaa hut. He kicks the table with the explosive. He goes, none left us a TNT surprise. I'll bet if he's no run of the mill Eskimo. Well, I guess not. And he goes, brilliant deduction, Breaker. Thanks. So we go, badoom. And the Kwanzaa hut blows up with all the dead guys in it. The Eskimo's too good. He's got to be working for the Russians. They probably brought him in by plane, they say, but if they're really going to play it safe, they'll be picking him up at a submarine. That's why he's making for the coast, they say. So they decide, here's the film. They want him to radio teleprint it back to the general flag. We get Breaker to radio teleprint it back. I didn't know that was a thing back then, but I guess G.I. Joe's got the technology. And he says, we'll get us a make on our blubber chewing friend. And Breaker said, it could take a while. We're not even here. We're breaking camp and we're going right after him, they say. So they go after him. And Stalker kind of says he's got no need to hurry. He doesn't know that any of us are following him yet, but that's what they think. So we keep going. It says many cold miles later, and they get the teleprint back. It says teleprinter is cracking away. It must be a huge flag. Must have dug up a dossier. And you see the dossier, which I think they got the height wrong here, but it says Kwinn, probably an alias, real name unknown, date of birth unknown, place of birth unknown, height 6'10", which I think is ridiculous.
Probably 6'1", I think, maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
They're probably a typo, 260 pounds. And it says their occupation, freelance special ops, enforcer. He's worked for the CIA, Mossad, KGB, MI6, and other security agencies, which that would probably get you killed if that was true. But his skills are expert tracker, hunter, woodsman, speaks English, Russian, French, Finnish, German, and 3 Inuit dialects. Expert with rifle, pistol, longbow, harpoon, plastic explosives, personality, subject. Subject never lies, always fulfills contractual obligations to the letter, and will not divulge any information about former employers or operation for any reason. And Scarlett's like, well, this guy has all the earmarks of the most dreaded of all antagonists, the highly motivated individual. And then Stalker's like, it's almost dark. We got to catch up with it. I'm trying to paraphrase it. So about 5 hours later, which they would probably froze to death, but anyway, there's Kwinn toasting by his toes by fire by the plane. It looks like the plane's crashed. So they're like, well, where's the pilot, the navigator? Quinn's file didn't mention flight training. And they're like, well, they're either dead or waiting ahead. Submarine pickup point. Let's take him. So they go down there and they're like, Snake Eyes gets to him, but it's not him. It's just a blanket cover with C4.
Whoopsie.
Yep. And then your Kwinn kicks open the door and says, very good. You arrived sooner than I expected. So he's been waiting on him.
Yeah.
And he tells them this is a fail safe. It says, if anybody moves, I'll just wipe us all off. There'll be a 50-foot crater where we stand. And he tells them to drop their weapons, which they oblige. And he puts all their weapons in his dog sled. He said, it's ironic that fear makes you comply. Did you know that the Russians were using their research station to beam low-frequency fear waves to the U.S. in an experiment to induce mass paranoia? He tells them to put their packs on the sled, and the shielding on their transmitter leaked, and the Russian crew became quite paranoid. So that's what happened to them.
Yeah.
So then he goes out and he crushes Breaker's radio. He tells them I was hired to retrieve the American records and the Russian frequency modulator and to destroy the evidence. The crew by this plane is waiting for me at a base camp by the sea where a sub will pick us up. And he basically says the Russians are quite punctual. He's basically what he's going to do. He told them he's going to leave them for dead. And we go to the next one, and he's like, the shadow man has the eyes of a shaman. He's talking about snake eyes. He sees the spirits of snow and ice gazing at his soul like a hungry bear. I'll tell you my secrets because you are dead, men. You have no supplies, no radio. Farewell. Because they're asking why he told them everything.
Yeah, because he never tells anybody about his prior employers.
Yeah. So here you go. Well, he's right. We've had it. He said, we start back right now, we might be able to stand a chance.
Well, here's a weird thing. I know I'm just playing devil's advocate, but he's the only guy with a mush team, which is the only way out of there and survive, supposedly. Snake Eyes should have, or Stalker should have just took the snipe shot.
Yeah.
Now it's our mush team.
So Stalker's like, we're gonna go after him. He's like, fuck that shit. We're going after him.
Yeah.
So minutes later, this is the kind of the ridiculous part coming right here. You're right, Stalker. This plane's compass is still functional. So they pull the compass out. They get a map of the sector they happen to find. Snake Eyes got the landing skis dismantled, so he takes the landing skis off this snow plane, and then he goes out and Stalker tears out the lightweight passenger seats and the parachutes, and they're going to build them. We've got all the parts we need to build an ice boat. The winds are strong up here. We ought to be able to outrun a dog sled.
G.I. Joe!
And knowing is half the battle.
Yeah.
We'll sail on course at a slight angle to this, keeping well out of sight. We'll track over before we reach the sea.
By the way, I love this shit.
Yeah, and lay our ambush. So they're going to go, and they're asking, and they ask Snake Eyes why he's bringing the explosives Kwinn left behind because they have no detonator. And Stalker's like, well, Snake Eyes insist on it because I can't always figure him out. But he's got a plan, but he took them for a reason. And you'll find out that reason later. So they get up here and they kind of caught up with him, I think. They kind of got ahead of him. So they're like, we're going to take this pass and he's going to detonate. He's got two ammo clips hidden. So he's going to use the ammo clips, the gunpowder to like detonate this C4. And because Stalker was like, I should have known he always had a secret stash, just like Cheech and Chong, right? So he hurry up, empty those primers and powder into the canteen cup. So they put them in the canteen cup. 30 minutes later, Breaker and them has rigged this whole thing up to where, so when I pull this length of parachute cord, that 200-pound slab of ice is going to crush that canteen cup full of primers and the powder setting off a small explosion. So they went all MacGyver on everybody. Mm-hmm. So then Breaker's like, well, he's coming. So they go ahead, they go quick, they get under cover. You're spack, the boom, ba-doom. They blow it. He says, we've got to pull his dogs to safety and get him before he recovers. He goes, hurry, Snake Eyes, we're going to need those dogs. So Snake Eyes starts pulling the sled dogs out. They probably would have bit the shit out of them, by the way.
Yeah.
Quinn's not here. He's banished, they say. And he jumps up from behind him and says, do you really believe Kwinn would fall for such an obvious ruse? I regret having to shoot anything I can't eat. And then Scarlett comes in and kicks him in the head and says, hey, Fatso, chew on this. And they're cheering Scarlett on. And then he says, good try, lady, but Kwinn has fought the polar bear. They're like, what's Snake Eyes doing? Snake Eyes pulls out another clip and he jumps for his Uzi, snaps the thing in there, and they go, the shadow man has the speed of a weasel, Kwinn says. And then he tries to fire it, goes click, click, click. And Kwinn says, luckily I took the precaution of adding the firing pins from your weapons to my weasel skull necklace. As a felon against death by gunfire. Not so lucky for you, eh? So we got weasel skulls on his necklace there. We find out what the skulls are. He says, soon the spirits of snow and ice will devour your souls. This is sad. That is sad, for you are brave fighters. I regret having to take this assignment from the Russians because they are tempering with fear.
Real quick, this panel right here, though, tells me that maybe that file card on Kwinn is not a mistake, because look at the rest of the Joes and look at Kwinn.
Yeah, he's huge, right? But
yeah.
I mean, his weight had to be wrong, though, right? It had to be like 360 or something. But yeah, he's so much taller than them. But he's like, fear is the greatest killer of all, greater than snow or ice. And he shows them the frequency modulator, and he says, this is a concentrated nugget of fear waiting to pollute the world with distrust and loathing. I feel that the only way to neutralize it is to give it to you. So then he says, why don't you? And Kwinn tells him, I can't. A contract is a contract to the letter of the word. If only there was some other way. And then we get to the next page. 1 hour later at the coast. It's Comrade Kwinn. He's full 2 hours early. He said, I wanted time to count my payment. It's in gold, of course. Of course, you have the records in our low frequency modulator. Of course I do. And he tells him the research station has been destroyed. The Joe team's been neutralized. So he's loading up his money. Then if you will attest that I've fulfilled my contract, I shall be on my way. And they tell him, you've done well, comrade. No, I want to be far away from here when G.I. Joe team arrives. I abhor senseless violence.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? You must stay here and protect us until the submarine arrives. And he tells them, look, my contract was fulfilled. This is the end of my job. I don't have to protect you. And he says, you've aided the Americans in betray. He says, no, I have done nothing but hinder them in every possible way. I left them 5 miles from here with no firing pins in their weapons. And he said, however, I stopped 1 mile from here and left my weasel skull necklace in a careen as an offering to the spirits of ice and snow. The fear might vanish from the world. He's kind of like doing what Batman used to do. Remember, like he says, you can't kill me. You don't kill people. And Batman would be like, yeah, I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you, right?
Yeah.
He says, perhaps if you found my carrion before they did, you might dispel my prayer. There are 4 miles from it to year one. But they are trackers and you are not. So you see, and here they are. And Snake Eyes has got the necklace on, and they're locked and loaded. And this is the end, but it's going to be continued in issue 3. So there we go. We kind of covered it, but I also want to point out, I don't know, we'll be back, next week with the next issue, and I've been waiting all week to play this.
G.I. Joe will return after these messages.
Ryan, got your new cereal. How's it look, Duke?
All clear. Go for it. Hit it.
Introducing G.I. Joe Action Stars brand cereal, a delicious part of this complete breakfast. Crunchy stars that taste great. So, for all you action stars...
Bye, Mom!
G.I. Joe Action Stars!
All right, sorry, Jeff, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I didn't say it.
But okay, Jeff, what were your thoughts of this story?
This story was it was a quick one. It went by, fast. When I was reading G.I. Joe when I was a kid, by the time I started collecting, G.I. Joe was already up there in the numbers, but they had just released Tales of G.I. Joe #1, which is reprint of G.I. Joe #1. Yeah. And I forgot how far Tales of G.I. Joe went, but I got to start from the beginning. You know what I mean? And read that way.
Yeah.
But this issue, I love the cover. Quinn's an interesting character. I like their little team. That's a cool little team, and it was a fun story. It's just a quintessential G.I. Joe story. It could have been easily morphed into one of those one of those weekday afternoon cartoons.
Yeah, from Sunbow, exactly.
Look, we're almost done with the stream, and we're right at almost 30 minutes, and that's how long the G.I. Joe cartoons were.
Yeah, and so it's a great little, and then it's a setup, and they're setting up everything for the next issue. And then we find out Quinn's not so as bad a guy as they think he is, right? He's a man of his word. He kept his word to the Russians, but he was like, but he realized that at some point this is not a good thing to be to get out there. So I'm not gonna help them stop you.
That says something though when he said I put a mile between you and the necklace of skulls, and I put 4 miles between the Joes and the necklace of skulls. But you guys aren't trackers, so good luck. Isn't that what he said?
Yeah, he said good luck.
Yeah. So it's like he tried to make it even though he knew who was going to win.
Yeah, absolutely. And because he knew the guys working. He's like, you're all are a heck of a warriors, and he kind of doesn't like the just violence for violence. He's not going to go around killing people. So I want to share this real quick. We're obviously not going to review it right now, but I brought up the next issue. The next issue is G.I. Joe issue 3. We get this giant Cobra robot in this one, and we're going to have more Joes will be in this one. Yeah. We're not going to crack the cover yet. We're just going to show you. I just want to show you the cover, so that's what we're reviewing next.
Not one of my favorite covers of the G.I. Joe run.
No, it's more like sci-fi, kind of thing. But it's a good story in there, and we'll check it out next week. But I like this one. Of course, me and Jeff are kind of biased, but it was well written. Larry Hama.
Yep.
This is only his second issue he wrote, which you can already tell, like, he's got a plan. He knows how he's going to write this. They got some cool, and also the art in it. I have to credit the artist there because he helps tell the story. Like, there were a couple panels where, like, well, wait a minute, this might be off or that might be off, but it kept the story moving. You were confused. And see, it's a classic Marvel comic paneling though. Back in the day, it's not too splashy. It gets this job done. The art's great, pretty great for the time period. And
I was going to say that earlier on when we were going page by page. Yeah, and I was like, these are the panels of comic book interiors that I remember. They're not, each page, each panel is not the Mona Lisa, but it moves the story. You know what's going on, and I just like the marks that are on the page. You could tell it's somebody with a pen and a nib doing that stuff with their hand on a piece of paper, getting it right, doing whatever they got to do and turning it in, not just grabbing some digital program and going and move this here and erase that, fill this and blend that, and all right, send it off.
They're not slick and overproduced, but so I recommend this if you guys are G.I. Joe fans out there. You might like it, and that was our review, and now you know what you need to know about G.I. Joe issue 2 from 1982. And you know what they say about knowing, right, Jeff?
Now I know.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe!
We only got 153 to go.
Yeah. Well, we'll try to get through them all, but we're going to try to just focus on the first 5 for an hour, 5 or 6 for an hour. And then we'll return to it because we have a couple other.
No way, bro. We're going all the way. We're going all the way.
We're going all the way, but I mean, we're going to take breaks and like review some X-Men books and maybe a Spider-Man story. I'm thinking we might review Torment, the original Todd McFarlane Spider-Man story.
Yeah. Actually, what's next up to bat? Is it Dark Knight or is it something else?
Well, I was thinking I want to do Uncanny X-Men Annual 11 after we do issue 3.
Okay.
Annual 11. So give everybody time. If they don't have it, they can go find it. It's not a very expensive book, if they don't have it, or they can read it online. I found it online. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching the show. And I have a different ending in mind for this one, since I'll probably use it this way instead of playing that commercial. I just wanted to play that commercial. I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for that when they process the video, but I don't think so. It's an old commercial, like 4-year-old commercial. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Until next time, true believers, Excelsior and Yo Joe.
Now back to G.I. Joe.